2:17 a.m. The 9th of October, 1931, Marrow Street, Lower Manhattan, apartment 4B above a bakery that never stopped breathing. The argument didn't sound like two lovers. It sounded like a lock being tested. A lamp clicked off. Dark poured into the room like oil and then one motion in the black, a metal whisper, a short inhale, a name said like a warning. Charlie, freeze that. Lucky Luciano stood barefoot on cold wood, the city's hum leaking through the window like a confession, and he realized something most men learn too late. The closest threats are always the quietest ones, because in this version of New York that runs on favors and fear, one revolver in one bedroom didn't just end a night. It rewrote a whole set of rules. But that wasn't the end. That was the beginning of a question nobody wanted to ask out loud. Who exactly had been invited into Lucky's bed? The smell down the stairs was fresh bread and burnt sugar. Up here, it was perfume, sweat, and that hot iron smell you get when panic touches metal. The woman people stopped using her name after this, so we won't make it famous. Stood near the dresser like she belonged there. Hair pinned back too neat for 2:17 a.m. Eyes too steady for a mistake. Lucky didn't move fast. That was his first power. He never gave the room his fear. His second power was quieter. He knew who could open doors, courthouse doors, precinct doors, bank doors, without kicking them. People always thought Lucky's power came from muscle. Nah, Lucky's power came from access. From who owed him, from who needed him, from who couldn't breathe unless he let them. She spoke again, softer. Put it down. Lucky's voice stayed low. Put what down? A floorboard creaked behind him. Not her, somebody else. That was the mistake. Lucky didn't spin around like a scared kid. He shifted half a step. Just enough to see the shadow by the closet. A man's outline, shoulders like a doorframe. Breath controlled like he'd practiced being invisible. The woman's hand wasn't shaking. That's what made Lucky's stomach go cold. Who's that? Lucky asked. Silence. The fluorescent light from the street sign outside blinked through the blinds. Green, green. The shadow spoke from the closet like it was normal, even in Lucky. And Lucky recognized the voice without the face. Nicky, knuckles rago on, seen muscle. A man who cracked his knuckles before every sentence. Like punctuation you could hear, crack, even in, Lucky, crack. Lucky didn't flinch. You're in the wrong apartment, he said, crack. Nicky laughed once. Ain't no wrong apartments tonight. The woman's eyes flicked to Nicky like she was checking the time. Lucky caught it. They didn't realize one thing. Lucky was never only watching the weapon. He was watching the people. And people tell on themselves. Lucky's hand lifted, open palm. Calm, not surrender. Control, listen, Lucky said. And his voice had that barbershop calm, that don't embarrass yourself tone. Whatever you think you're doing it sloppy. The woman's mouth tightened. Nicky stepped out of the closet half an inch. Enough for the streetlight to paint the edge of his cheekbone. Crack, sloppy still works, he said. Lucky's eyes moved. Dresser, nightstand, window, door. The city doesn't run on rules, it runs on favors. And favors were the only thing Lucky was counting in that moment. A second voice floated in, casual as smoke, coming from the hall through the thin door like the building itself was talking. Don't make it loud, gentlemen. That voice belonged to the institutional face of the night. Inspector Halden Price, precinct brass with a starched collar and a permanent smell of spearmint. Lucky had met him in daylight, in offices with flags and paperwork. Meeting him at 2:17 a.m. outside. A bedroom was a different kind of sentence. Lucky's eyes narrowed. Inspector Price, he said, this is personal now. A pause. A slow chew, Price's tell, the gum. Always working. "You're making it complicated, Mr. Luciano," Price called through the door. "Open up." Lucky didn't move toward the door. The woman finally spoke like she was reading from a note she'd memorized. "It doesn't have to be ugly, Charlie." Lucky's jaw tightened. "Don't call me that," he said. "Not tonight." And then, like the city wanted to underline it, the bakery downstairs hissed steam through a pipe, a long, loud exhale, like the building was warning him. A third presence was already in the story, even if you couldn't see him, shadow villain, the handler, the man who never touched the gun but always chose where it pointed. Everyone in Lucky's world called him Mr. Parchment, because he didn't threaten you with fists, he threatened you with forms. He had a habit, too. Every time he finished a sentence, he smoothed his cuffs like he was flattening wrinkles in the universe. Smooth, smile. Smooth. Lucky hadn't heard his voice yet, but he felt him. "You always feel the paperwork men before you see them." Lucky took one slow step backward. The woman's hand twitched toward the dresser. Lucky didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. "I'm going to say this once," Lucky said, and the air got heavier. "Anybody who's in this room with me, anybody who thinks they're holding something over me, understands they're making a decision they can't take back." Nicky cracked his knuckles like applause. "Aw, he's talking like a priest." Lucky's eyes stayed on the woman. "This was never about love," Lucky said. Her eyes hardened. "It was about control," she said back. "And you don't share control." Lucky's mouth barely moved. "I share plenty," he said. "Just not with liars." A fourth sound, tiny, sharp, came from the hallway, a match striking. The smoke drifted under the door like a ghost. That's when Lucky knew. Mr. Parchment was outside, too. Not because he liked the danger, because he liked witnessing the leverage. And that's when the countdown began. Right there, in the dark, with steam in the walls and a gun's whisper near the dresser. Lucky spoke, not to them, but to the city. 72 hours, he said. Inspector Price's gum stopped chewing for the first time all night. "Excuse me?" Lucky's eyes stayed steady. 72 hours, Lucky repeated. "That's how long you got to walk away from whatever this is," Nicky laughed. "Crack? Or what?" Lucky's voice dropped even lower. "Or you learn the oldest rule in this town," he said. "Paper can kill you in this city." And Lucky meant it. Because the weapon in that room wasn't the revolver. It was what Lucky was about to drag into the light. Her one. Lucky left Marrow Street with his coat on wrong and his pride on straight. He didn't go to his favorite bar out tonight. He went down metal stairs that rang like coins, into a basement club that smelled like hair tonic, whiskey, and wet wool. His runner, a kid named June Valera, was waiting by the payphone like he'd been born under its ringing. Junie had quick hands and quicker loyalty, a prat fay who never sat with his back to a door. Junie's eyes widened. "Boss, you look like you saw a ghost." Lucky didn't sit. "Get me Marla," he said. Marla Numbers Dean ran the backroom books for half the street. Older broker, smile like she'd already forgiven you, but hands like she hadn't. Junie hesitated. "Marla don't move this late." Lucky stared at him. "Marla moves when I ask," Lucky said, calm. "And Junie, don't make me ask twice." Junie swallowed and went for the phone. Lucky heard the dial click like a countdown starting. Har 9. Marla arrived wearing a coat that cost more than honesty. She slid into the booth across from Lucky. Her perfume was lilac and ledger ink. She looked him up and down. "You've got that look," she said. "The one where you're about to turn a private problem into a public warning." Lucky didn't blink. "They came into my home," he said. Marla's smile faded. "Who?" Lucky's voice stayed quiet. "Inspector Price," he said. "And Nicky Rago." Marla's eyes flicked. Tiny reaction controlled. She'd heard those names in the same sentence before, but never like this. "You sure?" she asked. Lucky leaned forward. "Marla?" he said. "I don't guess." Marla nodded once. "Then you're not in a fight," she said. "You're in a system." Lucky's mouth twitched. "That's why I'm here." Marla's fingers tapped the table. 3 taps. Always 3. Her tell. 3 taps when she was thinking about risk. "What do you want?" Lucky's voice didn't rise. "I want the proof," he said. Marla's eyes narrowed. "Proof of what?" she asked. Lucky answered like it hurt to say it. "Proof that Price eats from a bowl that ain't his," Lucky said. "Proof that somebody's steering him." Marla exhaled. "Paper," she murmured. "Paper is louder than bullets." "That's the point," Lucky said. Horror 23. They went to find the paper. Not in a safe house. Not under a mattress. In a place people never respect until it ruins them. A records room. Junie led them through a back corridor behind a precinct annex, gray paint, fluorescent buzz, the smell of old sweat and new bleach. There inside man was a former cop named Benny Quill, retired before he got buried. He always rubbed the bridge of his nose when he was scared, like he was trying to erase the moment. Benny met them at a side door. "You're late," Benny whispered. Marla's eyes cut to him. "We're early," she said. "Late is what happens after you talk too much." Benny rubbed his nose. "I shouldn't be here," he said. "I shouldn't even know you." Lucky's voice was soft. "But you do," Lucky said. "So let's not waste it." Benny swallowed and opened the door. Inside, rows of metal cabinets stood like tombs. "Where's the file?" Lucky asked. Benny hesitated. "It ain't a file," Benny said. "It's a book." Marla's eyes sharpened. "A book," Junie echoed. Benny pointed. "Evidence intake," he whispered. "But it's not evidence." Lucky understood before anyone said it. A payoff ledger. Exactly one object. Exactly one truth. They found it tucked behind a false panel in the cabinet, wrapped in oilcloth, like somebody loved it. The signature feature made Marla freeze it. Had a hymn book leather cover, black, cracked, with gold letters that didn't match the contents. Like somebody wanted sin to look like salvation, Junie reached for it. And then complication. Number 1. Footsteps. Fast 2 uniforms rounded the aisle. Dirty cops. Their hands went to belts, not because they were brave, because they were paid. One of them squinted at Lucky. "You lost?" he asked. Lucky didn't move. Marla leaned forward, smiling like she'd been invited. "We're here for the book," she said. The cop blinked. "The what?" Junie's hand tightened on the hymn book cover. The other cop stepped closer. "Put that down," he said. Lucky's voice stayed even. "You don't want this," Lucky said. The cop smirked. "Yay," says who. Lucky's eyes lifted to the cop's badge. "He read the name like a eulogy, Officer Dremel," Lucky said. "Says you don't want to be the man who touched the wrong paper." The cop scoffed. Then complication number 2. A third figure appeared at the end of the aisle. Nicky Rago Crack. He strolled in like he owned the fluorescent light. "Look at that," Nicky said. "The choir's here." Marla's smile vanished. Junie's breathing quickened. Benny rubbed his nose like he was trying not to faint. Nicky's eyes locked on the ledger. "Hand it over," he said, and he cracked his knuckles like he was ready to write a different ending. Lucky stepped half an inch in front of Junie, not protective, possessive. "Touch it," Lucky said softly, "and you're going to find out what no witnesses feels like when it's paperwork." Nicky laughed, but his eyes didn't crack. "You don't scare me with words, Lucky." Lucky's tone didn't change. "I'm not scaring you," he said. "I'm explaining you." One of the dirty cops reached forward. Junie yanked the ledger back. In the scuffle, the hymn book cover snagged on the cabinet edge. A page tore. Just one. A thin ripping sound like a throat clearing. Marla's eyes flashed. "That page better still be in your hand." she hissed. Junie looked down. It was, but the torn edge exposed a name halfway burned, like someone had pressed a cigarette to it. A little brown ring through the ink. Memory hook you couldn't unsee, Benny whispered, horrified. That's Price. Lucky stared at the half-burned name. They didn't realize one thing. Somebody had already tried to erase the proof, which meant the proof was real. Lucky looked at Nicky. You came fast, Lucky said. That means somebody told you. Nicky's eyes flicked. Tiny, that was the mistake, because Lucky's gaze swung to Junie. And Junie's face went pale. Har 41. The betrayal almost happened in a booth with sticky wood and a jukebox that kept dying. Mid-song, Junie sat across from Lucky, hands trembling the ledger hidden under Marla's coat. Junie wouldn't meet Lucky's eyes. Marla leaned back, watching Junie like she was watching a card player about to cheat. Benny stood near the door, rubbing his nose raw. Lucky's voice was gentle. Talk, he said. Junie swallowed. They offered me a way out, Junie whispered. Marla's laugh was cold. Everybody offers you a way out, she said. The question is what they want you to crawl through to get there. Junie's eyes darted. Inspector Price, Junie said. He said if I bring him the book, I go home. No charges, no heat. Benny flinched. Marla leaned forward. And you believed him? She asked. Junie's voice cracked. I'm tired, he said. I'm tired of looking over my shoulder. Lucky nodded slowly. Honest, Lucky said. Finally, Junie's eyes filled. I didn't do it, Junie said. I didn't give it to him. I thought about it. Marla's voice sharpened. Thinking is how the city picks its pockets, she said. Lucky held Junie's gaze. Listen, Lucky said. You want to be free? Junie nodded. Lucky's voice stayed soft. Then stop shopping your soul, Lucky said. Freedom in this town ain't a door, it's a bill. Junie wiped his face. I'm sorry, he whispered. Marla tapped the table 3 times. You'll be sorry again, she said, if you live. Lucky didn't raise his voice. He reached into his pocket and placed something on the table. A matchbook from Marrow Street's bakery. Lucky slid it toward Junie. You're going back, Lucky said. Junie's eyes widened. What? Lucky's gaze was steel. You're going back to where it started, Lucky said. And you're gonna do what I tell you, because this is how you repay your thinking. Marla frowned. Lucky held up a hand. 72 hours, he reminded them. We're at 41. He looked at Junie. You want to be trusted? Lucky asked. Junie swallowed. Yes, Lucky nodded. Then you're going to stand in the fire and come out clean, Lucky said. Or you're going to burn. Street proverb number 1. Quiet as a knife. A man who wants mercy shouldn't sell maps to the wolves. Har 56. Mr. Parchment finally showed his face. Not in a dark alley, in a bright office with a brass plaque and a receptionist who didn't smile with her eyes. The place smelled like lemon polish and old power. Lucky walked in with Marla beside him and Benny behind them like a guilty shadow. Junie stayed outside, sweating, watching, learning. Mr. Parchment stood by the window, smoothing his cuffs smooth. Smile smooth. Mr. Luciano, he said pleasantly. I hear you've had a lively evening. Lucky didn't sit until Mr. Parchment did, control first. Who is she? Lucky asked. Mr. Parchment smiled like he was being asked about the weather. I'm not sure what you mean. Lucky leaned in. You sent her, Lucky said. You sent Nicky. You sent Price. Mr. Parchment's fingers smoothed his cuffs. I don't send anyone, he said. I suggest. Marla's voice cut in. And you stamp, she said. You stamp men into office and out of their minds. Mr. Parchment's smile thinned. Miss Dean, he said, still counting other people's money? Marla's eyes didn't blink. Still laundering other people's sins? She shot back. Mr. Parchment's cuff, smoothing, slowed. Lucky spoke softly. Here's what's going to happen, Lucky said. Mr. Parchment chuckled. And why would I listen? Lucky's voice stayed calm. Because I have your church book, he said. Mr. Parchment's smile paused. Just a fraction, Lucky continued. And inside it, Lucky said, is a half-burned name that leads to you. Mr. Parchment recovered fast. You're making a mistake, he said. Smooth. You can't walk into an institution with street paper. Lucky's eyes were steady. Watch me, Lucky said. Street proverb number 2 whispered, in this city, the cleanest hands are the ones that never sign. Hour 71. The institutional showdown happened at 9:04 a.m. 2 days later, in courtroom 6, see wooden benches, stale air, a gavel that had heard 1,000 lies. Inspector Price stood near the back, gum chewing like a metronome. Chew, chew, chew. Nicky Rago leaned against the wall, cracking knuckles like he was bored. Crack, crack. Mr. Parchment wasn't on the record, of course, but he was there. Gallery, hat low, smoothing cuffs, smooth smiles. Smooth Lucky walked in like he belonged. Because in his mind, he did. He didn't bring a gun. He brought witnesses. Marla in a hat that made her look like money. Benny, nervous but present. And one more ally, Lila Hart, young journalist with ink under her nails and a stare that didn't blink first. Lila held a notepad like it was a weapon that couldn't be confiscated. The judge, Honorable Mercer Sloan, looked down like Lucky was a stain. Mr. Luciano, the judge said, why are you here? Lucky's voice was low. To correct something, Lucky said. The prosecutor laughed under his breath. This is a courtroom, not a confession booth. Lila's pen scratched. Marla's fingers tapped. Benny rubbed his nose. Inspector Price chewed. You have no standing, the judge snapped. You have no petition, no filing. Lucky nodded. That's true, he said. But I have a book. The judge blinked. A book. Lucky looked at the bailiff. Don't touch it, Lucky said softly. The bailiff paused, confused. Price's gum slowed. Mr. Parchment smoothed his cuffs. Lucky didn't make a speech. He reached into Marla's bag and placed the payoff ledger, book leather cover, on the counsel table. The courtroom leaned forward without meaning to. That was the centerpiece moment. A clerk stepped toward it, and the judge's gavel slipped. Not a dramatic slam. A miss-hit. Wood clacked wrong, sharp, and embarrassing. The judge's coffee cup trembled, then tipped. A brown spill across pristine paperwork. The room went silent like someone pulled the plug on sound. Lucky didn't smile. He opened the ledger to the torn page. He didn't read it out loud. He slid it toward the bench. Jaune burned. Through name, half visible, Wone column of numbers. Wone stamp in the corner, quiet fund, purple ink, unmistakable. Inspector Price's gum stopped. Nicky's hands froze mid-crack. Mr. Parchment's cuff, smoothing, paused like his wrists forgot how to lie. The judge swallowed. The prosecutor leaned in, eyes wide. Lila's pen started moving fast, like it couldn't keep up with the truth. The judge's voice came out smaller than before. Where did you get this? Lucky answered with one sentence. From the place you told everyone not to look, he said. The prosecutor stood too quickly, chair scraping. This is inadmissible, he stammered. This is stolen. Marla's voice was sharp. It's accounted for, she said. It's in your own inventory, Benny blurted, terrified. I logged it, he said. I logged it months ago. They hid it behind a panel. The judge stared at Benny. "You're admitting—" Lila cut in, calm as a blade. "Your Honor," she said, "are you denying the existence of a fund labeled Quiet Fund inside your courthouse's orbit?" The judge's throat worked. Inspector Price took one step toward the table. Lucky lifted one finger. Not a threat. A stop sign. Price stopped anyway, because they all felt it. Public pressure isn't a shout. It's a room deciding who it believes. The judge's voice cracked. Street proverb number 3, quiet and cold. A courthouse is just a church that charges admission. Consequences came fast, but not like magic, like dominoes. Consequence 1. Paperwork became a weapon pointed the other way. By noon, Inspector Price wasn't making calls. He was answering them. Internal Affairs didn't need a sermon. They needed a signature feature stamp and a matching inventory log. Benny's fear became corroboration. Lila's article became gasoline. Price tried to chew his gum through it, but mint can't clean rot. Consequence 2. Favors got denied in broad daylight. The same doorman who used to wave Price upstairs suddenly didn't recognize him. The same judge's clerk who used to find time suddenly found none. Because the city doesn't run on rules. It runs on favors. And favors don't like cameras. Consequence 3. Mr. Parchment's real punishment wasn't cuffs. It was access. His calls started going to voicemail. His invitations got lost. His name stopped opening doors. The man who lived by forms got buried under them. Now, don't confuse justice with peace. There was still a cost. The team paid. That week, Marla's backroom got a random inspection. Her ledgers suddenly mattered to people who never cared before. Benny got a friendly visit from 2 men in clean coats who stood too close and smiled too wide. Junie found his apartment door marked, "Just a scratch, small, mean, deliberate." Lucky got followed in daylight, not subtle, not careful. A message, and then came the quietly menacing confrontation, the slower, meaner kind. It happened at 11:36 p.m. in a back room behind a bar where the air smelled like spilled beer and mop water. Nicky Rago sat across from Lucky. No more jokes, no more swagger. His knuckles still cracked, but softer now. Crack. "Lucky," he said, "you made a lot of noise." Lucky sipped water like it was whiskey. "I made a correction," Lucky said. Nicky leaned forward. "You think that book makes you untouchable?" he asked. Lucky's eyes were calm. "No," Lucky said. "I think it makes you predictable." Nicky's jaw tightened. "You got people thinking." "I'm sloppy," Nicky hissed. Lucky's voice stayed low. "You walked into a records room under fluorescent lights," Lucky said. "That's sloppy." Nicky's face reddened. "I could." Lucky held up a hand. "No," Lucky said. "You couldn't." Silence stretched. The bar's fridge hummed. A glass clinked somewhere far away. Lucky leaned in, voice softer. "Here's what you're gonna do," Lucky said. "You're gonna disappear for a while. Not because I'm scared of you," Nicky swallowed. "But because you're a problem," Lucky continued. "And I don't keep problems close." Nicky's eyes flicked. "And if I don't?" he asked. Lucky smiled, tinny, tired. "Then the next time you crack your knuckles," Lucky said, "it'll be in a room where nobody knows your name." Nicky froze. No big speech, no shouting, just consequence hanging in the air like smoke. Street proverb. Number 4. Spoken soft. A loud man is easy to find. A quiet man is hard to bury. Aftermath landed like ash. Inspector Price got transferred. First, then investigated, then retired for health reasons. Funny how health problems show up when paperwork starts breathing. Mr. Parchment didn't get arrested, he got avoided. And in this city, being ignored is a slow death. Nicky Rago vanished from the corners he used to own. Some said he went upstate. Some said he went underground. Either way, the knuckles stopped cracking in public. Marla survived, because Marla always survived. But she started sleeping in different places, and her lilac perfume got replaced with the scent of caution. Benny quit breathing easy forever. He moved like a man who hears footsteps even in silence. Lila Hart printed the story, and for the first time, Lucky understood something bitter. Sometimes truth doesn't save you. It just changes who's allowed to hunt you. Junie stayed. He didn't run. He didn't sell the map to the wolves. But he learned the real lesson. Loyalty isn't a feeling. It's a bill you pay on time. And the woman? Nobody said her name after that. Not because she died in some dramatic way. Not because Lucky made a spectacle. Because the inner circle rewrote its rules overnight. Private problems became public warnings. If you brought danger into the bed, you didn't get a second night. If you tried to steer the boss with whispers, you got cut out of the room where decisions lived. And that's the part people miss when they tell these stories. Justice and revenge wear the same shoes in this city. The difference is what footprints they leave behind. Street proverb number 5, clean and cold. A favor buys you time. A lie sells you out. Lucky walked past the bakery again one morning. Days later, same steam hiss. Samey bread smell. Samey city pretending nothing changed, but Lucky knew. Everything changed. He didn't trust love the same. He didn't trust silence the same. He didn't trust safe the same because he learned the only moral that matters in a town built on leverage. If you can't be kind, be consistent. And if you can't be consistent, don't ask for mercy. So here's my question to you. Freeze that last line in your mind. Was Lucky right to turn a private betrayal into a public warning? Or did he just teach the city a new way to be cruel? If you felt that pressure building, hit like, subscribe, and drop your verdict in the comments. Justice or revenge? And stick around, because the next story starts with a missing witness and a preacher who keeps 2 ledgers, one for God and one for the street.